Welcome back to the channel. Today we're continuing our journey through the creation story in Genesis, focusing on verses 9 through 19 of chapter 1. In this passage, we'll witness God's further organization of the earth and his creation of the sun, moon, and stars. We'll be using the New King James Version of the Bible, and as always, we'll provide detailed analysis for each verse. The Master's touch, shaping our world. Genesis, the first book of the Bible, tells a powerful story. It's the story of creation, of how God brought our world into being. In Genesis chapter 1, verses 9 to 19, we see God's incredible work as he forms the earth, oceans, plants, and stars. It's a message of hope, power, and love. God is in control, and he has a plan for everything. We see God's meticulous care in every detail. He doesn't just create, he creates with purpose. There's order in his actions, a divine plan unfolding. This section of Genesis reminds us that we are part of something much bigger than ourselves. We are part of God's incredible creation. Land and sea, a divine separation. In the beginning, the earth was formless. It was covered in water, a vast empty ocean, but God had a plan. In verse 9, then God said, "Let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. This verse describes God's separation of the waters from the dry land, forming the oceans and continents. This is another act of bringing order out of chaos, as the earth was previously covered in water. The phrase "gathered together into one place" suggests that the waters were initially dispersed, and God brought them together to form the seas. God called the dry ground land, and the gathered waters he called seas. Can you imagine the power of God's words? He spoke, and it happened. This separation of land and sea wasn't just a random act. It was a crucial step in making earth a place where life could flourish. This shows us that God is intentional. He doesn't do things by accident. He has a reason for everything he does. Life springs forth, the green miracle. On the third day, God continued his work, and we look in verse 10. It says, "And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good." Here, God names his creations: earth for the dry land, and seas for the gathered waters. This act of naming signifies God's ownership and authority over his creation. The phrase "God saw that it was good" is repeated throughout the creation account, emphasizing the perfection and harmony of God's work. The earth was no longer barren. It was bursting with life. Imagine the beauty of that moment, the vibrant colors, the sweet smells of flowers and plants. God created this abundance of life to sustain us, to nourish us, and to bring us joy. This act of creation shows God's love and care for us. He provides for our needs even before we ask. Lights in the sky, sun, moon, and stars. On the fourth day, God created the lights in the sky. He made the sun to rule over the day, and the moon and stars to rule over the night. He set them in the heavens to give light to the earth, to govern the day and the night, and to separate light from darkness, as we see it in verses 14-19. Then God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and seasons and for days and years, and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heavens to give light on the earth. And it was so. So the evening and the morning were the fourth day. On the fourth day, God creates the celestial bodies, the sun, moon, and stars. These lights serve several purposes: to separate day from night, to mark seasons and years, and to provide light for the earth. The text specifically states that God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. This clearly establishes the sun and moon as creations of God, not deities themselves, as some ancient cultures believed. The inclusion of "He made the stars" also reminds us of the vastness of God's creation, encompassing countless celestial bodies beyond our comprehension. Think about how amazing it is that God placed these celestial bodies in such perfect order. The sun, a giant ball of fire, gives us warmth and light. The moon reflects the sun's light, illuminating the night. The stars, countless and vast, remind us of God's infinite power. In their beauty and order, we see God's majesty and his love for us. Genesis 1 verses 9 through 19 reveals God's meticulous planning and powerful execution in creating our world. From separating land and sea to creating vegetation and celestial bodies, God demonstrates his sovereignty and wisdom. Each element of creation is purposeful and contributes to the overall harmony of the earth. Thank you for joining me on this study. And stay tuned for more content exploring the Bible series with the Godly Insights channel.